Alright, y'all, we're going to jump this workshop off with, kick it off with some prayer. So, if y'all need to talk, please jump out of here. Alright, let's pray. God, we thank you for this morning. We ask that you would be in the middle of what we're doing here today. Continue to speak to our hearts, challenge us about ourselves, encourage us. Give us wisdom, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen. Alright, this workshop title is In the Beginning. And most of you already know, in the beginning, hip-hop was started with the DJ. Ones and twos, two turntables, before the microphone. Cool Herc, rocking the brakes, and it went on from there. Now DJing is very, very diverse, encompassing multitude of formats, styles, and whatnot. And it's essential to not only hip-hop, but all urban formats or rhythmic formats of music. And today what we're going to do is we're going to dive into a little bit about the role of the DJ, how important it is to culture, what's happening in culture, period, as it relates to DJ, and also as it relates to performing artists on stage. My name is DJ Rhino. Just a little bit of information. I've been DJing since '95, and when there was only vinyl to spin and do that, so we had to dig hard for anything Christian related. And it's been a trip for me to see how much this scene has grown. I still got at home records of Freedom of Soul and produced with Peaks 586. Shout out to my brother. But it's evolved. And now as a pastor in Gary, Indiana, I utilize the format of DJing in everything we do in the church. The ones and twos, the turntables, are our worship band. We don't have instrumentalists, we don't have keyboards or drummers. The ones and twos are the worship band. That's one of the ways in which DJing can be utilized. For me, as a DJ, I've utilized DJing in a multitude of formats, a multitude of places. From in the Christian side of things to just straight up rocking in barbershops where dudes have no idea who Lecrae is, much less anybody else. And using that as a way to start opening the door to plant some seeds of who God is and start relationships with people. Today we got a bunch of DJs, not only here, but some guys I really respect on the stage that I asked them to share a little bit of who they are, where they're doing what they're doing, and even a little bit of the equipment that they use. Kind of file that in your mind for later when we open up for questions. So I'm going to kick it off with WadeO. Go ahead.
How's everybody doing? Good. My real name is Wade Harris. My stage name is DJWadeO. I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio. Shout out to all my Buckeyes. Oh, we deep in here. Nice. Class K in the back. I live in Newark, New Jersey now. I actually started DJing when I was in college. I wasn't saved then, so I was a club DJ. Parties. Probably DJed in pretty much almost every nightclub in Washington, D.C. at the time. I got saved literally the day after I graduated from college. I was in the process of moving to Newark. And just started serving in my church up there. Really didn't know much about Christian hip-hop. Started listening. I remember I went to Rap Fest in 2003. That was kind of like my first really big exposure to it. So I saw, cross movement, guys like that there. So I started kind of getting more and more into the music. My youth pastor at the time was like, yo, man, like you got this gift of DJing. You need to figure out a way to use this in the kingdom. And podcasting was very new back then. It definitely wasn't what it was then. I did radio in college as well, on a college radio station. So I said, you know what, this would be pretty cool to just share with people that don't know what Christian hip hop is, because most of my friends didn't. And that kind of birthed my show, the WadeO Radio Show, and I've been doing that full time since 2007. It's pretty much how I support myself. From bookings to everything, pretty much everything has been based off of the show. I've even expanded now. I think Rhino, kind of mentioned this, that, DJing is evolving. I blog and write and create content. Been fortunate to be featured on projects by artists that I like, you know, look up to tremendously. So that's been a blessing. You know, we do mixtapes. It's a little bit of everything. And so I guess, you know, I'm just excited to be here, man. I mean, I look up to a lot of these guys in a lot of different ways. They can do stuff on the turntables that I can only dream of. But yeah, so I give it to Promote.
My name is Carlos Trevino, DJPromote, and I started DJing late in life. I liked it, but I lived in a little city and there was no DJs. It was like you just saw Yo MTV Raps, that's all the hip hop you got. But I really liked it, and when I saw somebody do it that I could talk to, I started DJing with them. They lived in Dallas, Texas, and I started clubbing with them, hitting up house parties, and we would just run around. And I practiced on their equipment, and around that time, I was learning about God. Like, God was really like showing me who He was. I didn't go to church before, but it was like I was getting the connection. So I was learning about both at the same time, and then eventually I just saw the potential. I think I got like DJ Mash, I got some Lynn Adams, No to Verbs, and I was like, man, like this is what I need to do. Like God just really opened my eyes. Started spinning that for a while. And I just worked at the church. I did graffiti art and I DJ'd in the church. And then God opened some doors at a place where I did that full time. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go on tour. But I felt like God said that that wasn't really what was important. That wasn't big to Him. He would teach me. And I had worked a ministry job for like 8 years working with kids. And during that time I got offered to go on tours with like Spanish groups that were touring like all over Mexico. DJ Form offered me his job to take over the grids, and I just never felt like God told me to do that, and so I stayed in San Angelo, Texas, in the middle of nowhere. And then one day I felt like God said to go. During that time I toured a lot with different artists, but 4 years ago I quit my job, and I've been touring full time for the last 4 years, and that's all I do. Me and my wife moved to Dallas. My friend Freddie moved to Dallas, and he's helping with the booking. And he's also a DJ, and I DJ full-time. I mostly do conferences, youth conferences. I play whatever I can get the audience to do. I went to an event the other day. I started with dubstep. They were just not feeling it. I just killed it. And I played country, and they were in. You know, they were like, this is what we want. I was like, yes, I know that's what you want. So I'll play. I try to just cater to the crowd. I use it as a tool. I feel like I want people to feel comfortable in a church setting. I want them to feel like it's real and it's not like separated from real life. And I love all kinds of music, but I don't like sinful things. And so anyways, that's what I do full time. I do these conferences, and yeah, that's what I do. That's how I make my living.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Ron. I go by DJEffecto from Humble Beast Records. Originally from Long Beach, California. Just moved up to Portland, Oregon, maybe 8 months ago, just to serve with Humble Beast. Been DJing for about 15 years and started producing beats maybe 4 years ago. So that's still kind of new to me, been learning about that. But I always thought that I would be like a bedroom DJ because I just had a passion for the art and culture, and never thought I would be doing what I'm doing today. But God has been so gracious and so sovereign and providential over my life and everything that I'm doing. And I still geek out every day. You know, I geek out. I'm here with these guys doing what I'm doing. And I was just sharing earlier, you know, it could be any one of you guys doing what I'm doing. So it keeps me on my toes. You know, like there's nothing special about me, but just God's spirit within me. You know, we're different people, but we preach the same gospel. And so I'm just blessed to be doing what I'm doing. As far as DJing, I've done a lot of different things, just youth group events. Now it's just mainly like touring on the road, different conferences, beat showcases, and sets. You're supposed to talk about equipment and stuff? We're okay with it. Yeah,
I'll just add in because I know he won't say it, just because he's real low key. Any of you listen to Church Clothes mixtape by Lecrae, the song Misconception, all the DJ cuts on there, especially the when they took out all the samples, the real one, Effecto murdered all that. So, what's that?
All right, here you go.
Bring the next thing back over here.
Man, it's hard to follow up after that. My name's Stefan Rossellini. I go by DJAslan before the Narnia movies came out. I read the Chronicles of Narnia when I was like in 4th grade and didn't know anything about God, so it's really cool. I chose that name way before I even started knowing about Jesus and living for him. But I'm from Simi Valley, California. I've had my same Technique turntables since like 1993. And usually at like most of the events we're at, my turntables are like way older than all the kids and teenagers at the events. So it's kind of weird. Like all the kids come up and say, "How long you been doing it?" It's like the first question we get. How long you been doing this? It's kind of funny. Let's not worry about that, man. Let's hey, you like that beat I played? Or, you know, try and change it up. Yeah, I've been DJing since around then, and didn't grow up in a church home. Grew up doing house parties and playing with just all the guys. Right away, I started DJing with my friends. So my best friend since 3rd grade, a guy named DJ Petrix, kind of just well known on a battle scene. We started doing house parties. Then we started doing competitions and battles in LA. And that's pretty much a big part of my DJ life. And it was really cool because I heard about Jesus and started living for him around 96, 97. And at that time, the whole battle scene and competitions, it's not like, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, what you've seen of that, but it was very musical, it was very experimental, there was a whole lot of scratching involved, and it was an outlet for me to continue DJing without playing a bunch of junk, it was just great, it was a good time. So that's a big part of what I do. I kind of look at myself as actually like a performance musician on the turntables. So the turntable turns into an instrument really fast when you use it in different ways. So that's kind of my avenue with DJing for sure. It's just battle, competition, a lot of scratching. Thank you.
Cool.
Wait. Yeah, he DJ'd, y'all know who DJ Revolution is? From the Wake Up Show, he got to DJ with them the other day. And DJ Manuel, just had to add that. We're all jealous. We all wish we were there. Oh, and yeah, check out a South by Southwest video.
All right, cool. If you caught, I hope you did, the diversity that is on there for the DJs, from battle DJ to promote, rocking the conferences and kind of a club, very diverse. If you've ever listened to his sets, incorporate tons of different music. WadeO coming from the club, doing a lot of stuff on radio and a multitude of things there. And Effecto with what's going on in Humble Beast, really being a missionary with Humble Beast in their situation there. A question that I want to pose to y'all, as you look at culture period, not the church, not just Christian hip-hop, but culture period, how do you see the impact of the DJ on culture? As you're doing that, let me just start by saying this. Thursday night when we got in, we went out afterwards to Applebee's. DJ, what was her name? Lady Shay was in there rocking the 1s and 2s, and that place was jumping. A DJ engaging there. Is that what you're...
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you see DJs everywhere. I know for me, even when I first started, there was a store on Howard University's campus called Up Against the Wall. It's actually closed now, on Georgia Avenue. And I used to DJ in there and help them sell tons of clothes. I think because DJs have such an ear for music, you're starting to see, situations like what Promote's doing, DJing at these huge conferences. Because it's like, yo, man, we get sent tons of music, we have an ear for it, we know what moves people, we know what touches people, we know what ministers to people, and so it's like, that's just able to just kind of infuse the culture. I think one of the cool things you're seeing too is a lot of DJs that are really dope producers. of the music, because we have an ear for it again. So it's like, you know, why not, you know, rock with a DJ that also does, you know, production, because, yo, he can make music that people are going to dig, so.
Yeah, it's like the electronic, I've been watching a lot of stuff on like electronic music and how it started, like with tapes and noises, and they had to turn things on to make us sounds. That has progressed to where you can do whatever you want with electric, you know, just currents and stuff. And because of that, producers, everyone has become this DJ mode where you control everything that's going out. And I kind of relate it to like how people would be if back in the day watching like a rock band and they see the dude with the guitar making these noises and they're like, kids are like, I want to do that. And now it's just super accessible, like on your iPhone, you can go to Best Buy, Walmart, you can buy a controller and DJ. It's made it to where that's just something. So that has created a super high demand for that, and it's just like it's just everything's changed. It's like the new artist. It's like you just want to hear that go on. I think for churches it's just a little different because they're still trying to figure out, well, how does that fit into the context and what's allowed to be played and what do you do with that. But I put up, the equipment's a big deal too because now everyone's trying to learn the equipment. I bought this unit called Tractor. It was a choice to get a stove or buy this piece of equipment. And I bought the unit, and I told my wife we did not get a stove. So we didn't have a stove all through Christmas, holidays, Thanksgiving. But I made a video with my flip cam, and I recorded just me opening it up and playing with it. And like, it's not a huge response, but for me, it's like I think I did 3 videos. One has over 100,000 views, 100,500 views. The other one has 70,000. One has like 50,000 views. And it's just peak kids. Yo, this is effing sick. I want to learn this. How do you do that? How do you scratch? I don't know how to DJ. I bought this unit. It's just like a dude at a conference in New Orleans. We were set up, and they said the security guard's looking for you. And propaganda came back through, and this old man had to be like 50. He was talking to him, and when we, sorry, bro. When we went to the door, this dude goes, hey man, are you DJPromote from YouTube? And I was like, I mean, yeah. He goes, you got that little thing, the S4, and you with your laptop. And he's like, I saw your logo on your banner. Is that you? And I was like, yeah. He said, I bought this unit, I bought a MacBook, and I can't figure it out. He's a security guard. And like, so when the concert's going on, I took him to the table, I brought the unit out, I practiced with them. Kids are trying to buy merch. Me and this old security guard, he's trying not to get fired. We're like DJing. You know, I got to pray with him. It's just like, it's a huge change from when you DJed in a store or at a youth group, no one really cares. They're like, why are you doing that? From the records now to what culture is calling a DJ.
Anybody else?
I think at this point also with all of that, I think there's still this big mystery about DJing. It's like what is it? Because of all, I mean, you see just the diversity here and everything we were doing last night here at Flavor Fest. There's this huge mystery for the masses. For the masses, just a huge mystery of what are they doing. A lot of times the masses are like, I think he's making music right there on the stage. He's doing all those little sounds, and usually you're not. And it's like just a big mystery. So I think that makes it cool for us, for the DJs. It's like, hey, you don't know what I'm doing. You know, check it out a little bit more. And maybe I'm doing that. And it's good. It's really good for I think that's the big, you know, everybody still kind of has that as a whole. I mean, there's DJing. I have little ones. I have little kids. Ni Hao Kai Lan comes on, and the little panda's like scratching on turntables. And it's weird. I mean, it's like everywhere. So for the culture, it's just like everywhere. It's still, I don't know. It's like, I mean, we've lived in a time where, like Promote already mentioned, the electric guitar came around. And they were able to amplify a guitar and get all these different tones and everything. And it's like, it's just, it's its own world. The whole DJ thing is its own world.
Yeah, I think that's why for me, it's like, I think there's so many options for a DJ. Like, there's a million options to do it. You can DJ at Applebee's, you can DJ at your church. Like, it's a tool that you can do, like, anywhere, any situation. I mean, I don't know where it's going to go, but it's like, there's no, like, I keep saying, like, a cookie-cutter idea of, like, DJ. Especially to me, like, in Christian music, it shouldn't be a cookie-cutter idea of, this is what I'm supposed to do if I'm a Christian and a DJ. There's a million options that probably haven't even been discovered on what you could do.
Most definitely. And just as I was listening to you, a couple other things popped in my head. Ellen DeGeneres' show isn't really considered a hood hip-hop show, neither is Good Morning America, but both of them have DJs rocking consistently on their program. One of the things that's important as people who follow Christ is we pay attention to culture to understand how we reach that culture. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of bring out this diversity and the explosion of, at least publicly, DJs being involved in culture, period. Now, let's just kind of flip it up a bit. There's times as DJs in our experiences, and all of us here, we've even talked about that we've had experiences in, whether it's settings like concerts, whether it's in the club, whether it's in with churches. If you were to say one thing that would help out, or maybe something that bothers you about a setting, a venue, or maybe it's an artist situation. Don't name any names. Keep it, clean. Not clean, but keep it, we don't want to implicate anybody. But if you could share that, because I think that's valuable for us to hear. And some people out here may be in those settings where they need to hear what's important for you as a DJ.
I whispered to Promote, you sure you want to give me this open mic for this? Okay. I mean, I think anybody in here, when you go to a hip-hop show, sound's got to be right. So I think, one of the things that I've learned over the years, and I picked this up DJing in the clubs, and I've transferred it even when I'm in churches or conferences or youth groups or Christian parties even now, build that rapport with the sound man at the beginning of the night. He's your best friend. Like, if you piss him off, it's going to be a bad situation for you. I think the other thing is when you're doing events like this or concerts or whatever the case is, get the music as early as you can from artists. I mean, Rhino can even tell you, even just last night, you know what I mean? Like we experiencing some of that stuff. So build that rapport with the artist. One of the things that I think is cool, even if you're doing like a one-off for somebody, a concert, actually go through the set with the artist. I'm sure Promote could talk about that more. Even Classy K in the back, he rocks with D-Mob, Sermon, D-Light, these guys, DJEffecto. I guess everybody on the panel can probably talk about it. But go through the set with the artist, understand where their cue points are, and you're there to serve them. I think that's the flip side when you're dealing with artists. So don't lose that mindset. I'll let these guys go. I can just keep going. But
what's the question again?
What is, and I lost my train of thought. What is one thing, or maybe two things, that for a venue, an artist, a church, wherever you're rocking, that you wish would change as it relates to you, that would help that situation? WadeO talked about for artists, get your music to them not 20 minutes before the set, or 10 minutes before the set, then look at them with eyes that are swearing at them like, why you mess up my set? It takes us a while to load it in our equipment, make sure it works, especially if you got a CD that's been run over on the street, and want me to play it and make it sound good. So he talked about that side of things. I help you out?
Yeah, I think just the fact that, like, if artists would let DJs do more than what they let them do usually, it's usually, hey, will you DJ for me? And that just means play my music. And then scratch a little bit. But with a lot of the guys I go with, they really respect what I do, and we've even changed how we do our sets because, for instance, like Propaganda, youth group kids don't get it. Like, it's slow, they're just like, we don't know hip hop. So what we do is, him, B. Wright, a lot of guys, they'll do a song, and out of their song, I start mixing, and we go into party mode for like 3 songs. And we just throw a party. Sometimes they'll just get out the way, and I just go to town. And then I respect them, so I'm not taking over the show, so then I quit, and then we go into their next song. But I just see a lot of times, especially at hip-hop events, where the DJ's there all day playing people's tracks for 5 hours. I mean, that's a mobile DJ. If you like doing that, it's cool, but I think there's artistry in it, and I wish more dudes would let guys show off what they can do. So.
Very good point. A DJ is also an artist, and they're not just your button pusher. Now, some guys just want to push buttons on stage, and that's cool. But guys like Promote, and if you've seen his live set with artists that he's talked about, he's bringing it right along with Propaganda or B. Right or those guys. So that's important for us to understand as venues, as artists, as promoters, even as fellow DJs.
I think a lot of the time, DJs are they're just the backbone. They're like behind the scenes. Even though they're on the stage, they're just like, hey man, here's my CD, play track 4. And so there's just this idea that I'm a mind reader, that I know what I want, what they want to do. Like, I don't know, man. I'm like, might as well just pop your CD in the microwave, probably do a better job, But I agree with these guys, I think, we're called to be excellent in what we're doing, and I think if we had great communication between artists and DJs, like your flow, your presentation is just excellent, and it's a better representation of the gospel that you're sharing with people, because if one person is sloppy, if the artist is sloppy, if the DJ messes up, it's kind of like a turnoff, you're a headliner, and like, man, I can't even see these guys, like, I can DJ myself. I can push a button or whatever. But I think another thing too is just kind of like learning more about the different types of DJing and more about the background of it, history of it, just to appreciate it. That's why I'm very thankful for this weekend with the emphasis on the DJ and stuff. It's just I'm learning a lot too, just from everybody and the experience here. So. That's my hope, is that we all leave this place just with a better understanding of it. Yeah.
I guess I could just chime in a little bit, not so much on the artists, but like any of you that throw actual events or put together events and have a DJ in mind. A lot of times the DJ is just eye candy. And sometimes maybe that's all that's needed. But if you are throwing an event and you want a DJ involved, just have a purpose. So like right now, this is great. We're like outside. We're playing sometimes in the lobby. And it's cool. Like, we're playing. Everybody can hear it. It's just creating a mood. But it's just, when you put on an event and you're thinking about a DJ, just get that communication out there of why. Okay, why are we having them? There's been events that I've been at, and the music is at like a whisper volume. It's like, why? No, you don't need that. Man, play the iPod. Like, you don't need that. So maybe it's a little bit of the eye candy there, but maybe they didn't even want that. Maybe they thought, we need a DJ because we need music. Not necessarily. I'm sorry, guys, we don't have a job anymore, but sometimes you don't need the DJ. Sometimes, be very directive with it. Like, I'm gonna have a DJ because, just have a reason for it, and then communicate it so the guy knows what's going on, and everybody be happy.
Yeah, that's great, because like, I've been having to tell some people, or like figure out what they're doing, and then tell them, like, you don't need me. Like, you could get somebody else, you could get an iPod, like, because they don't get it, yeah.
Definitely. And a couple other things that came to mind as you guys were talking. MCs, any MCs in here? All right. When you get on stage, you want a monitor, right? DJs need a monitor too, especially if we're going to do more than press a button. Because we need to hear what y'all are doing. So venues or artists or churches, businesses, whatnot, if that's at all possible, if you're giving an MC a monitor, you need to give a DJ a monitor. It will help the overall sound. It will help the DJs get down with what is going on in the event, whether that's a concert, business, conference, what have you. The other thing is, there's a lot of wisdom that exists here. And as venues, as artists, if you got a DJ rocking with you, pick their brain on your set. Don't just go in with your idea of your set or even your mixtape. Let the DJ put his input because the DJ's mind is on the music. Example, last night, Pastor 83 in his set sat down with me before and said, Rhino, what would work good here? How can we make this, how can we put this together to make the most impact for this venue? Afterwards, he comes up to me and says, man, thank you for your help to do that. A couple other MCs that I've worked with said, thank you for helping me get the DJ's input on what the audience is going to feel when I rock my set. It helped me because I wasn't thinking that way. All right, let's switch it up a bit as we go back to the church. How, from your guys' viewpoint, do you think the church can utilize this even increased awareness of the DJ as it relates to culture and even within church type stuff?
Okay, my perspective is probably more from like I go to a traditional Black Baptist church, and there's not anything close to a DJ hip hop in a lot of those situations.
Yo, I
right?
started in one of those trying to rock with the choir. Sure.
Yeah. Well, I've done that before. You mentioned that. I actually did an outreach this summer. Well, I was rocking with a band, and what we ended up doing was I threw on a bunch of acapellas, and they were like literally creating music to go along with it right there, and that was like insane. Like we did that for like 30 minutes, like impromptu. So they're like basically, you know, that church clap song, like we made that for real, like you know, with a real vibe like that. So I mean, I think it's as a leader, one of the things that I always see that you want to do is a lot of times you just get your creative people in a room and you let them figure it out and you don't put boundaries on it. And I think that's what, unfortunately, a lot of churches have done. They say, oh, we want a DJ, but it has to be like this rather than just, yo, get your DJ, get your worship leader, get your choir, get your praise team, get whatever, your audio visual people, put them in a room. Say, yo, figure it out. This is what we're trying to. This is what we're trying to do. This is the thing we're trying to communicate, and let the creative process take care of itself. So I think for me, it's probably less limits and just let the DJ be at the table with all the other creative people, and you know, try to figure out how to creatively present Christ to people.
I think if you're throwing an event and you have people there that like music, you should have a DJ. Like I know that at DJ Val and Stibbs' church, they got 4 DJs, and I don't know how many DJ on Sunday morning, but I think all of them DJ. They got jump houses outside, they got a DJ there, they got a DJ in the lobby. They're all DJing. I haven't been there, but every Sunday morning on Instagram, they're all posting pictures of them DJing, and I'm like, all at church? It's called Calvary. It's in Irving, Texas. It's like right off this road, and they're just like, I mean, that's a lot of DJs for one church. I know Easter Sunday, when I looked at our Instagram, I mean, every one of us was at church. It was like, I was like, man, like, there was one in Vegas. They had DJ Icy in Vegas. Bobito was in LA. I was at a church. Every DJ I knew was at a church, and it was just cool to be like, man, like, the churches are really utilizing this to reach into the culture, especially kid events. You're going to win if you have a DJ there. I mean, a DJ that's going to play something that the kids like, you can't just have anybody, but if you can find somebody, you're going to automatically win attention from people that don't usually come to your event. They're already comfortable, they're feeling like this is a good vibe. After that, whatever you say, it's on. But I think there's no reason not to have that at an event.
I think in my unique situation with Humble Beast, just being submitted under our church, and them being super supportive of what we're doing, they really understand that we have unique opportunities to step foot in different places and share Christ with different diversities and generations and ages of people that the church body necessarily can't. So it's just a great mutual understanding of a greater purpose of what we're doing. So I just think that that's awesome to have a church that's really supportive of what you're doing.
In regards to the church, I think the biggest thing is they can't force it. Churches and the church culture, they can't force it. Like we said earlier, you may not need a DJ. If it's a big part of the culture, I mean, I visited a church, and in the service, a dance team went up and did like this little dance, and it was like a choreographed group dance, and it was cool and all, and they were good, they were doing their thing and everything, and I remember thinking to myself, man, I would not want to be on that stage DJing in this environment. I just remember thinking like, that was cool, they did their thing, but I was like, man, I wouldn't want to be like, I wouldn't want to be in that situation for some reason. Not any church. I've scratched with a bunch of bands and worship bands and been on stage in regular services and stuff. But in that setting, at that church, it would have been forced. It would have been a forced thing. It didn't have to work that way. And so, if the culture, I mean, dude, Tampa, I mean, I'm sure, it's a little regional in that area. I'm sure Tampa's kind of hip-hop rap. LA's a little hip-hop rap and just, totally diverse around LA. I didn't put this in there, but I lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma the last 10 years. And one Life Church, one of the speakers mentioned Life Church. I mean, one Easter service, gosh, like 8 or 9 services throughout the whole weekend. I was middle stage with the worship leader doing a full-on electronic dubstep worship set with Life Church. So I was up there banging out some samples and scratching, and there's tracks, there's electronic tracks going behind us, and we were jumping around on stage and singing to God. And dude, that worked. That was a little bit more real. So yeah, with the main question was, how does the DJ work in a church culture? It just can't be forced. Just let it happen and let the creative stuff happen.
Very good, very good. Yeah, you mentioned one of the ways that the church can utilize the DJ, if they're open to it, is even in the worship. If you're trying to contextualize your worship for a younger or more urban or more electronic generation, there are tons of people that are doing that, doing mashups, doing all kinds of things that work that. And we do that in my church. We mash up stuff and try to remix some stuff live. And even when I'm preaching, sometimes I got a pre-recorded mix because it's hard to DJ and preach at the same time. That sometimes I'm playing during the time I'm preaching. I'm not like, party hardy, real loud, but it's like, it's involved in everything we do. Even from outreach and block party stuff. Man, if you can engage the DJ and get that people on the block, or people that aren't even in the block, man, what's that? Let me go check that out. So, which gets into this question before we get into some Q&A session. How do you see the DJ being utilized to extend the gospel to people?
There's been so many. You just get an open door. With the DJing, you just get a foot in the door with people. I see everybody nodding because you can't deny it. I don't know what it is. As soon as you break out the turntables, as soon as you break out anything that looks like that electronic device that's not an acoustic guitar, and for whatever reason, man, people just are into it. And all of us talk about it all the time. It's all about that off stage. It's all about when you're not behind the turntables. You just get an open door. You're up there. Even if you're just starting out, man, you're going to have people just watching you. As soon as you're done with your set, and you're somebody that's pretty hardcore for God, man, you have a way into that person's life. The people that are coming up to you, of course, And man, that's it right there. I mean, you just be you. You got that love. You're talking to them. Tell them you love them. Whatever it is, it's just an open door right there. That's why I think that's really on the hardcore, lowest part of what we do. Deep inside is what I mean, man. I think that's kind of why we all do it. Most of the guys here, man, all the guys here, man, we just do it because it's crazy. You get to put out some Jesus through it. It's crazy.
I would agree with him. I would say that the most effective ministry in what I'm doing would be like after I'm DJing or after a show. So many people just come up to me, and I just think that, you know, music just touches your soul. You know, it strikes that chord with different people, and so I think just being mindful of those open doors, those people that God puts in your path. Like, we have to be intentional and build a relationship, a long-lasting one, because who knows, like, God might want to use you in that specific moment to share a word from Scripture to them. And so I think a lot of ministry happens after. It's been a blessing.
Yeah, even on like digital stuff, like online, I have stuff, but then, and people were like, well, that's all secular, weird stuff, but like, there's a couple videos that somebody recorded of me, like sharing my testimony, and dudes eventually get to that one sometimes, and then that's when they start being like, wow, like, I think it's just like, as I said, it's a foot in the door.
Even the young man, 50-year-old young man that came up to him, because I'm getting closer. That's not looking so far off for me anymore, but that just off of your equipment. Yeah. Nothing said, nothing preached, nothing. I'm a Christian DJ, but just off of equipment opened the door for you to pray with that dude.
Yeah, I think I mean, it's one of the things I love about this panel, what DJPromote put together, is the diversity. I think it all depends on your mindset. Like, I look at, you know, why I feel like God led me to do what I'm doing, and it's to communicate Christ. So it's like, I try to incorporate that in everything I'm doing. And you just leave it at that. I mean, you just let that kind of happen the way that it does. Sometimes it's a discussion after the event. Sometimes it's the Spirit's leading you to play certain records during the event that have certain messages that certain people need to hear. I remember one time I was DJing a basketball tournament, and there was this record by Esso from Lambo on his mixtape called, can't think of it, it's like 5 minutes long. He doesn't have a hook or nothing in it. He's just rapping all the way through. And I was like, you know, I was scrolling through for the next song I'm gonna play. I came to it, and, you know, I felt like the Spirit was like, yo, play that record. But my flesh was like, man, like, cats ain't really gonna get that. Like, this dude is rapping for 5 minutes, cats is shooting ball, like, you know, cats ain't gonna hear the message over and over. Lord sent confirmation. Someone comes up to me afterwards and was like, yo, that song really spoke to me. And I mean, I think it's just that. It's just being Spirit-led. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be that deep for one record, but just the way you base your overall ministry, your career, how you submit your gifts and talents to the Lord, that honors God. You know, it's not necessarily just always Jesus, 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 and you're playing, you know, all these Jesus, Jesus, Jesus records. It's how you submit your gift to the Lord in whatever way He's telling you to go. So,
very good, very good. And that brought up, I got a guy in my area that I've been building with for probably 4 years. And one of the first places our church started out at was in this janky club that he was one of the DJs and promoters with. When he heard that there was a DJ who was a pastor, he said, man, I gotta check this out. And that started a relationship that he hasn't come to Christ yet, but now he's coming a couple times to the church. He ran sound for the Thizzle concert we just did. He got wide open when I was playing Theory Hazard beats and Omega Watts beats. He's like, I got to find out more of this. So now I'm giving him lyrical versions. And that's just another way that God can use the art of the DJ to begin to open the door to speak something more deeply. All right, before we get out of here, we want to do Q&A. All right, go ahead, my brother.
I just want to ask, like, I'm kind of revealing my age, but I'm from I would say original era hip hop where you seen like DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Fresh. You had EPMD, you had Guru and Premier, which was Gangstar. And it's like you had a marriage of the MC and the DJ. I'm just wondering from y'all perspective, what do you think maybe was the downfall of that, and will we ever see that again in hip hop, Christian hip hop, period?
It's a good question. So I think even if you go back further than that, right, with Kool Herc, what he was doing, the MC was actually an accessory to the DJ. So it was Grandmaster Flash and with the Furious Five. He was the leader of the group. I think as people probably started paying more attention to lyrics, and then even financially, it's like Will Smith made a lot more money when he was just Will Smith than when it was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Now he still got love for Jazzy Jeff because that's still his tour DJ. So it's it's not that, but I think that's part of it. I mean, look, it's why you used to have Kirk Franklin in the family, and now you just have Kirk Franklin, even though the family still sings all his songs for him. Sometimes it's just an economic situation. I think the flip side of that, though, is when you look at some of the other things that DJs have been able to do. So, like, one of the dudes when I was started out, I always patted myself was Funk Flex. You know what I mean? DJ Clue, DJ Khaled. I mean, some people don't respect them from a DJ perspective, but the doors that have been able to open up for them and their influence on culture as DJs has made a huge difference. So I think the game is just different, and it's like a part of it is, I mean, look, Gangstar was my favorite group growing up. But the reality is, if a Gangstar came out today with that sound, music has just progressed. So it's like, it's just, we just got to adapt with the times, man. It's just, it's kind of how I look at it. So.
Yeah, I don't really know. I love it. I watch the old videos of Fresh Prince, and they're talking back and forth to the crowd. It's crazy. I think that's coming back. People want to party. They want to hang out, and sometimes I think it's getting to where no one just wants to watch a guy just up there. And when you have another guy with you, and a lot of MCs I'm talking to, they're down. Even B. Rice, he's like a performer. I don't know if you know him, but he even switched the other day. He was like, bro, if you ever do an event, I'll go MC for you. I think they're switching to see okay, well, there's an audience that wants to have fun, and I can get in front of them. Whereas before it was I don't need you. They want to listen to me, and it's about me right now. And I think that can happen with the DJ scene too, where they could be well, I don't need any of this, but I think it works better. Even last night in the room, the biggest crowd we had was when T. Wireless said, I'm having a cypher session. And then everyone's been saying, let's do a room where it's the DJs and we can rap, and then the B-boys are B-boying. People want to have a party again. So I think it's switching.
For the sake of time, we're just going to move on to some other questions, and we can follow up. I think he was next. We got one.
I just want to say I love you guys. Just straight up, I love you guys so much. But how do you guys are at a place where you're full time. Right now, for a lot of us, it's grind time, meaning we got kids, we got wives, we got work. How do you balance that, practice your craft, and promote yourself as a DJ?
For me, my wife, she bought all in. She's super supportive. I think because I told the Lord firsthand I would do whatever He wanted me to do, He set up a great platform to where I can leave home. My wife tours with me currently, but she's thinking about getting a job again. And the only reason I can even go full time is because I think that I didn't do it because I wanted to do it. I wanted to, and I knew that was something I wanted to do, but I just kept asking God, what do you want me to do? And then I felt like He said, leave. I took my job part-time, and then He said, no, I said, leave. And then I quit, and I would go a little and feel like I need to be home with my wife for a couple weeks, and then again, I felt like He was like, you're just wasting time. I told you to leave. So then I just told my wife, and she's like, go. It's even to the point where I can go, yesterday I didn't even talk to her on the phone, but she's following on Instagram. She knows I'm with the guys. I'm not doing this. I'm not trying to be on the road. I just feel like that's what God's telling me to do, and I'm supposed to go do it. And if He tells me tomorrow not to do that, which I ask all the time, okay, next year, what is it going to be like? And if He tells me I need to stay home and work on something different, then that's what I feel like I need to do. So.
I think Promote says something very important. Get your wife on board first, whatever you're doing. And that's even if you're not a DJ. If you're a rapper, if you're a pastor, if you're a janitor, make sure your wife supports what you're doing. That's crucial. A saying that I learned recently that I've been trying to implement in my life is, what gets scheduled gets planned. So if you need to practice more, put it on your calendar and do it. If you need to spend more time with your wife, put it on your calendar and do it. If you need to focus on creating other content, whether it's mixtapes or, you know, whatever the case may be, put time on your calendar and do it. And that's just what's important to you, is what you take the time to say, this is what I'm going to do. And that's, you know, that's the reality of it.
Cool, cool. Got my brother right here.
What's up, everybody? I hope this ain't no loaded question. I know Promote's probably like a fan of this, but I've only been DJing for like 2 years now. And I'm one who's kind of like, I ain't gonna say I'm like against turntables, because I'm just like the weight. But when I'm a controller guy. So how do you feel like, you know, some people, when I walk into some place, they're like, man, you got a controller, you ain't no real DJ. I'm like, I'll rock you. You know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, but I love turntables. I love turntables.
Hey, listen, let me tell you, bro. It's legalism when dudes try to tell you gotta use turntables, man. Look, I've used all that stuff. I had 1200s when I was rocking in the clubs. I love 1200s, don't get me wrong. Anytime I got a chance to DJ on 12s, I do it. Rhino will tell you. I currently use CDJs. I'm trying to get a controller. So, at the end of the day, particularly when you're doing this for the Lord, it's about the end result. Don't let people try to trap you into a process that you don't need to be. Now, I will say this. If you really want to respect the culture, there's nothing wrong with that. Learn to DJ on 12s. Learn to DJ on the CDJs. Learn to DJ on the controller. Learn to use all of it. You know what I mean? It's all a gift from the Lord. You know what I mean? I was actually reading that in James this morning. Every perfect gift comes from above. This equipment that we have is a tremendous gift to have all these different options that we can use. Whether it's Serato or, you know, if you need to get prayed for and you use Tractor like Promote. I'm joking. It's all good though. It's all good. Use what you prefer using and don't, like, it's legalism, dog.
Cool.
This more so isn't like a question. I just wanted to encourage you guys, not just you guys, but all DJs. I mean, I've been in it for a minute. Just remember that Psalm 150, let everything have breath, that have breath, praise the Lord. What you guys have are tools, are instruments to ultimately give praise. You know, although, you know, we have our own things that we gotta do as far as, okay, I'm a DJ for this rapper, or I'm a club DJ or whatever, I'm just spinning to make people party or whatever. With what we do, just remember that when you're spinning, you're just praising Him. You're just worshiping. You know, your cuts, the songs you play, just let it be towards Him. And everything will work out after that. Because as long as you give it to Him, He's going to work out the rest. We know this. You know what I'm saying? I just want to encourage you guys.
That D-Light, keep flipping.
Fellas, appreciate y'all, man. Question, in a situation where, say, you go to a particular church, submitted to your leadership, but they're an older generation, they don't understand hip-hop culture. Not that they discourage you in what you do, but they don't understand it, and they really don't make a place for you in the body to display that portion of your gift. Encourage the people and tell them things that you've done or situations where you've learned how to handle that situation.
Oh, I just smacked him over the head with a microphone. I'm in that. You know what I mean? I'm in that. And I've been in that. And you got to submit to authority. That's really the reality of the situation. And the flip side is, the Lord has opened up doors for me to travel and, you know, just do this thing in a lot of different areas. And I'm at a point where it's like, man, if I never DJ in my church again, like, that's not the end of the world. Would I love to? Absolutely. I live in Newark, New Jersey, man. Like, it's, you know, these kids need to hear the music. But it's like, if I can't force my pastor or I can't force my leadership to catch a vision on a certain thing that's not them. Like, they're the shepherds of that congregation. So it's like, I got two options. Either I can leave or I can stay and submit. And the reality is, I know the Lord wants me in that ministry for other things. So what do I do? I don't have to DJ. I teach Sunday school. For me, at the end of the day, it's like, yo, I'm trying to pour into these kids regardless. If they never hear me DJ, like, I'm good with that. Like, they don't even got to know me as WadeO. They can know me as Wade Harris. I'm cool with that. But, you know, it's all in your perspective and, you know, willingness to submit to authority. That's really what it comes down to.
Very good. Which was one thing that I learned over the years as a pastor told me, support publicly, question privately. So in those settings, I know for me, there's been times I'm like, yo, they just don't get it. I just want to around. But if I do that in front of other people, then we got problems in the church. I can go behind the scenes and say, hey, pastor, you know what? This is what I'm feeling. What do you think about this? And he may say, man, you're tripping. No, I don't want that. And maybe it'd be a time frame. But yeah.
First of all, I don't know if I have the authority to do this. I'm not even from this country, but I want to apologize on behalf of all the MCs that have treated you guys bad and taken you for granted. For real. And we appreciate them in Australia, man, because we've got one Christian DJ that actually is actively doing stuff. So, love to see you guys. But as Christians, how do you deal with those times where you feel like you're being treated as an accessory, or an MC treats you just like, here, play my track, or you feel like people are taking you for granted? As a Christian, how do you process that and deal with that and not let that stop you from, keep going in your craft and keep doing it in the Christian spectrum as well?
I think you have to know like what God called you to do. So I know like what God told me to do because I asked him one time and he told me, and I feel like when people ask me to do something, I have a response back. Like when they say, can you do my mixtape? I know I'm not supposed to be working on that. So when they ask me to go to concerts where there's certain things where I know I'll be there playing CDs all day and doing that, I've learned for me, just after doing it, that it's probably going to be like that and I just don't need to go. So I don't even put myself in those situations. And if I'm in those, then I just know, like, okay, this is what it is and I'm just going to do it. And then when I'm done, I've been in a place where I couldn't do anything. I had to take off my headphones, my cap, button up, my controller. They didn't want turntables, so they made me bring a controller. I had to hide the controller. I couldn't move, and I had to stand there and do this on my set. And then during the set, they turned the lights off, so you couldn't see me. And I just knew, like, okay, I practiced. It was a special program we practiced. I practiced for a month with this violinist, and it's just what it is. So I just did it, and then you just leave and don't do that with them again.
And just have a heart to serve, dog. Like, that's, I mean, if you can't go into it with the right spirit and it's gonna mess you up the rest of the time there, just don't even do it, dog. You know what I mean? Just don't even take the date. And I've done that, for situations. But the flip side is, if it is something that you feel like the Lord you need to be a part of this, and it might be outside of what you really want to do, man, get your heart right, man. Get your heart right.
Good stuff. Respect is most tested when we're disrespected. So breathe.
I wanted to make piggyback off of one of your comments, your previous comments. For one, I've been DJing for over 20 years for D-Pop. And it's one thing that I learned within those 20 years for DJing for other artists, develop a chemistry with that artist, as you said that 83 did last night. And we were fellowshipping with 83 as well last night. But the chemistry is number one. Number two, we have to always understand and know that we're the one-man band for that artist. When spectators come to see a concert, they're paying to see that artist. They would like to see us, they would like to hear what we can do. But it's another thing that you don't want to do is scratching while that artist or singer is performing. That's probably one of the worst things you can do. It irritates me when I hear it. Is when I hear a DJ cut while that artist is performing. As a DJ, we want to perform, we want to cut before the artist starts rapping. In other words, when the song comes on, do a little cut while they ain't hyping the crowd or whatever. During the hooks, and when the song is riding out. That's our 3 spots as a DJ on the song, any song. And I just wanted to, can y'all piggyback on that? I think those are like, as far as a DJ, those are like the most important things ever.
I've probably DJed for most of the top artists in our genre, one-off shows, whatever, concerts, yada, yada, yada. I ask cats, just straight up, you want me scratching on this song? How do you want me to do this? That's one of the things you can communicate during sound check. If I know I'm DJing for them ahead of time, we'll email back and forth. What do you want me to add to this set? So I've seen it all. I've seen an artist like Andy Mineo. He's probably the most organized artist I've ever DJed for. This cat has blends already in place. He just run the joints and it sounds butter. Then I've had cats 20 minutes before you going on. They'll, give you the music and tell you 10 cue points, and you're like, dude, this is not going to go smooth. I haven't had a chance to practice. We don't have the chemistry, so I think you're dead on with it. I think that chemistry is important, but I think ask the artist in what way you can serve them, and I think as an artist, come to the DJ and say, man, this is my vision. Can you execute this? This is what a perfect night looks like for me on this set. And then you guys come up with what you come up with.
Very good. This is going to be the last question because I've been getting the cuts on.
How's it going? The question I have is kind of a two-part question about etiquette. So when up-and-coming artists are coming to you and giving you their material, is there like a kind of like an etiquette, like sonically, what you want, and also just the presentation and trying to give it to you? And then the second question I have is, do you notice with the artists that have made it, especially in Christian, the difference between forcing and anointing? The people trying to force something versus people who are just anointed. Do you notice the difference?
I think we're all open to get. We're definitely open to getting new music, and nobody's mad. Nowadays it's so easy. Maybe just give out a quick email, something like that. If they got a CD right there, it's just you guys kind of star our hearts, man. We're gonna take it. Give us that music. As long as that person's cool, and if they come up all hard about it, like, yo, you need this. It's over right there. You're like, yeah. So that maybe on the etiquette standpoint, yeah, just come cool, just come relaxed, and I would like for you to check this out. You just real simple, man. This is some music I'm doing. We're totally open for that. Yeah, I don't want to touch on the second part.
I know for me, a couple things etiquette-wise that bug me is when you post on my Facebook wall and you link all your people with your video and you didn't ask me if you could do it first, or you send me a link to your YouTube video. I'm not going to do anything with a YouTube video. I'm not as technical as some of these cats up here. Send me an MP3. Be nice about it. Don't expect me right away to listen to you 1 hour later. I'm a pastor, I'm a social worker, I'm a daddy, I'm a husband, and I got to sleep sometimes. So, and if you're going to give me a CD, don't put it in a napkin with writing on it with a blank CDR. That may not go too well.
Yeah, I think the stuff like where people tweet to you and say, check out my mix or download my song, I don't have time to go and look at your content. But if some people are just cool, they're like, bro, I just got this, I want to share it with you, tell me what you think I should do to it, instead of, hey, can you play it? I think that's the big difference, and also, then when you play it right then, or not knowing even what I do, they don't care, they're just like, oh, you DJ? Oh, word. Then in a minute they come back and they're like, hey, man. Or they would ask you about your mix, man, how long you been doing this? Man, it's cool, I like that song too. Yeah, I rap. And then boom, it's I'm like, I don't want to talk to you now, because it's like, you don't care about me as a person, you're not being cool, you just want me to play, you're just trying to get out and known. So I think it's just the approach of how you share your content with a person like another artist. Hey, I got this, it probably sounds really good with what you're doing, I don't know, I just take it, it's for free. So.
Very good. We got to wrap up. There's so much. That second question is a whole session in and of itself that will go really deep. There's record pools that are out there that MCs can get stuff to, or labels can. You can ask us about us afterwards as well. Please don't give us music when we're in the middle of a mix. Wait till afterwards.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Come check us out tonight in the Expo room.